The NPL Victoria podcast is brought to you by Melville Bodyworks, located at 106 Melville Road, Brunswick West. For best-in-class panel beating and smash repairs and seamless support for insurance claims, call now on 8378 5555.
All right, guys, quick interruption in the NPL Victoria podcast. My name is Matt Galea. I run Content Hype Studios. We're a proud sponsor of the NPL Victoria podcast, and we're interrupting because I've got Michael Weier here, Green Gully's number one, here to talk about a great cause he's raising some funds for. So, Michael, welcome to the pod and welcome to the studio.
Oh, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, well, Michael, we've just been sort of speaking about this great charity ride you're planning from Melbourne to Brisbane to raise some much-needed awareness and funds for the Australian Cervical Cancer Foundation. Can you just tell us a little bit about, why you're raising these funds and I guess the backstory to sort of how you've come here?
Yeah, so last year in August, I lost my mum through cervical cancer. It's a cancer that's easily preventable, and through awareness, it's something that can be helped. And I've decided to dedicate my year to try and help raise funds and help raise awareness for that charity, and do some good for people, and see if I can help one person, and it will be a job well done.
Yeah, Michael, you've obviously played in the league for a number of years now, and I know your mum was your number one supporter. Talk to us a little bit about how much she loved, seeing you and your brother play the game, and the sort of support that she gave you throughout your career, and by the sounds of things, some of the other boys that you might have played with as well. Yeah,
of course. She was around for a long time, and you either loved her or hated her in the league. She definitely cared, and she wore her heart on her sleeve. Gave me a bit of head noise sometimes when she's in the crowd, showing her passion. Lachlan not so much, but yeah, she was definitely someone that was definitely making an impact in football, and not just our lives, but players that would come and sign for the clubs we were at, and helping them get settled, and giving them things to really kick off their career.
Yeah. You mentioned like helping boys with accommodation, even cars in some cases. Does that just speak to, I guess, the sort of person she was and the care she had for your careers, but also your teammates?
Yeah, 100%. If she was someone that cared about you, she did anything for you, and that was the way she showed love. She had two emotions, and I knew this growing up. She was either happy or pissed off. She didn't show love the normal way. The way she showed love was through, helping, you achieve your goals, or helping you get somewhere with your career. And that was how she, showed that she cared. Yeah.
And, we did unfortunately talk about how quickly it all sort of happened for your mum, and that, it was, quite a silent sort of disease for a while. There were no real symptoms. I guess one of the things we're trying to raise awareness through this ride, and obviously through these sort of pieces, is to sort of speak to the importance of prevention and getting tested, even if there doesn't seem to be anything wrong, and advocating for the women and girls in our life to sort of take that prevention side of things seriously.
Yeah, no, 100%. Prevention is definitely achievable. It's just getting your tests done and stuff like that's crucial.
Yeah. And the ride itself, you were telling me you're not much of a cyclist, so you've picked a very demanding way, I guess, to raise the funds, and the goal's a big one, $100,000. Talk to me about why the ride and how you've gone about planning it so far.
Yeah, look, I subscribed to a goalkeeper package many years ago, and running wasn't a trait in that, so I decided to get on a bike, and we grew up all up and down the East Coast, so I thought it would just be special to get up to Brisbane and raise money like that.
Yeah. And obviously you've got goalkeeper wars coming up as well, another sort of innovative way to raise some awareness and funds. You've put the challenge out there to not just the keepers, but some of the outfield players as well. Talk us through goalkeeper wars.
I mean, all my career I've always had players say that they could do a keeper's job, or scoring goals is more important. Here's the challenge: come out and versus the keepers in not just a keeper wars game, but it's a shooting and defending game. So you take a shot. If you save it, you get a shot. So players like Harry Ashcroft, that thinks he's a 6 now, can come in have a shot. And if you guys end up winning, $1,000 to the winners and bragging rights. But I just want to give a credit to the goalkeepers in the league. People say goalkeepers are crazy, they're weird, they look strange. All are probably right, but they're good blokes, and not one keeper that I've reached out to has obviously had anything but positive messages, and obviously they're willing to come down, and it just shows how close the union is, and especially in NPL Victoria, how good the keeper union is there.
Yeah, so talk to me a little bit about that. Who are some of the names coming down and working out at the goalkeeper wars, and who are some of the outfield players you're really hoping take up the challenge? You obviously name dropped one.
Oh, yeah, Harry Ashcroft would be the big one, but there's players around the league that they're always chirpy. I think everyone that listens to this will know who I'm talking about, but all players any player's welcome. They don't have to be NPL players. They can be of any level, any age. They're all welcome down. Goalkeeper wise, same thing. Anyone's welcome. It doesn't have to be a certain level or played anywhere. It's for a good cause. So we're all here to have fun and do it for the right reasons. Any
off-field personalities you'd love to see come and try and stop a few?
Off-field person. Well, I'll get Mr. Let's Talk About It down there. See if he can move in the goals. And then I'll end up getting an Instagram video on how much of a shambles it was. So.
Yeah. Well, Michael, you're doing an amazing thing with the ride and the money you're trying to raise for awareness and funding for Cervical Cancer Australia. Anything else you want to just say to wrap that up, and again maybe just point people towards your GoFundMe?
Yeah, so my GoFundMe is obviously on my Instagram bio. It goes directly to Australian Cervical Cancer Foundation. That's probably the easiest way to get involved and donate. But honestly, I'm here trying to do fundraising events and stuff like that. I'm kind of learning as I go. So I'm open to anyone suggesting anything or putting out any sort of help. I'm all ears. At the end of the day, it all goes towards a good cause. So yeah, I'm welcoming everything.
Beautiful. Well, Mick, thanks very much for your time, and sorry for the interruption on the NPL Victoria podcast, boys, but obviously felt like it was a very good cause. So thanks for tuning in, and back to the show.
Forrester whips it in. It's a great ball in Bidwa! He's done it!
Alexander indirect all the way in! Incredible!
Jankovic battling for it.
Schroen! Marcus Schroen has done it again! And it's a good header away to save the day. Oh, wow! Welcome back, NPL!
Comes out with the ball. Berishevic to strike!
Oh! Charlie! Boom!
You could whack a frame on it. It was just art.
We're all born with a surname. Ivkovic, Flannigan, Debano. But what does your surname mean? Fellas, welcome to the NPL Victoria podcast. My name is Josh Parrish. I've got no idea what my surname means. Do you?
No idea.
We're channeling Nick Marinos in the Manningham United dressing rooms this week on the pod. And joining us from across the border, it's Lachie Flannigan and Nick Debano. What is this, a crossover episode?
No, it's a hostage situation. I will shoot Nick Debano unless Sean Ellis is brought to NPL New South Wales. I want $1 million in cash, and I want Sean Ellis playing for the Sutherland Sharks, or Nick Debano is going to get it. And I just realized, if you're not watching the podcast on YouTube, that joke doesn't make sense to you, but I am holding a finger gun to Nick's head.
I promise that I am safe. He will not hurt me as long as you deliver said goods.
Your captors are treating you well, Nick?
They are treating me really well.
I'm also going to shoot Nick if he makes more than 4 draw predictions during the round prediction.
You two look like you're about to apologise for illegally bringing your dogs into Australia and violating our biosecurity laws. That's a very dated reference. I
apologise for violating the biosecurity laws of tipping. Because I'm coming off a 1 this weekend. It was that sort of a weekend, Josh.
All right, gents, there is one big game to get into this weekend. A real shortage of goals around the grounds. Historically low scoring round this week, Ivka?
Yeah, it's been been a while since we've had such a low scoring round, but the goals weren't flying in this weekend for whatever reason. It was just one of those weeks.
Yeah, it was open wide for some soccer territory. Barriaga, Arriaga too, and I'm amazed we didn't have it right. But thankfully, no such trouble at Preston Lions 0, Heidelberg United 1. A very good game for at least 45 minutes before the Burgers opened the scoring and killed the contest in the second half. A solitary goal from Asahi Yokokawa heading home from a beautiful Jay McGowan cross decided things. Ivka, how did you see this one?
Probably one of the best games of NPL football that I've watched, not for a long time, that I've ever watched. The level of quality between those two sides was top tier. It was just a fascinating watch to see both really good footballing teams with a lot of technical ability, a lot of good players on show. Especially that first half. I didn't even realise that we'd got to 45 minutes, and when I saw the board go up for added time, I was tripping out. I didn't realise how quick it went. It was just a really good contest. Thought the first half Preston probably edged it a little bit. They had the better chances. The disallowed goal that was a bit silly for Jonas to be in that offside position, because if he wasn't there, it still would have gone in. But nonetheless, it was offside. It was the correct call. Thought Preston probably created the better chances in that first half. Heidelberg they started off stronger. They were peppering that Preston goal probably for the first 10 minutes or so. But Preston just, weathered that early storm and then got into the game and started playing their football. Jamal Ali in that first half was unbelievable against his old side. 2 or 3 times he stole that ball in the middle of the park and created good opportunities. But they'll be disappointed with the execution, Preston, in that first half. They got into good areas, won the ball in the right areas, but the execution of the passing was pretty poor, made poor decisions. And that cost them creating proper goal-scoring opportunities. Jonas Markovsky, I think, about 3 times stole the ball in the right area, and instead of giving it to the right winger, gave it to the left. Instead of giving it to the left winger, gave it to the right winger. So just poor decision-making. But at half-time, obviously, Johnny A made a great coaching change with the sub of Jay McGowan coming on. I thought Lee was really ineffective in that first half. He's a tidy player, but just no real end product. I thought he was poor, and McGowan coming on changed the game, really. Gave him a lot more energy on that side. Obviously got the assist for the winning goal. But Heidelberg really controlled that second half. This is where you've got to give credit to Johnny A. Watching him live for the first time this year, he's tweaked the way they play because he doesn't have the same personnel as last year. No Sepit Nor, no Bull Jawach. Bezzetto did come on in that second half and played quite well, but he hasn't been there. So he had to change the way they played because he doesn't have that same personnel, and he recognised that. So instead of being stubborn and saying, no, this is our football, this is our brand, this is the way we're going to play, he's tweaked it to suit the players he's got, bit of a different formation and different style of play, and it worked for him. And they still were able to shut down the game once they got that one goal lead, which they're so good at. And, I don't think it matters what personnel Heidelberg's got. If they've got Johnny A at the helm, they're going to be right up there as a title contender.
Yeah, I thought it was really impressive the way they adjusted without Ben Collins, who went off with a mystery injury at halftime. We assume it has to be an injury. You're not going to rest your best defender.
Foot injury, okay. I read, yeah.
So I like the way that, it made the game less watchable, unfortunately, because the first half was amazing because Heidelberg was stepping on man for man off every short goal kick and just leaving Naoki Suto alone and just trusting one of the defenders to step out from the line whenever he got the ball. And it was really bold pressing, and it worked in patches. And when it didn't work, Preston created a scoring chance every single time. And as you say, if it was a bit of better execution, maybe a Chianchi finishing that 1v1 that got cleared off the line, same with Suto. You mentioned all those 2v2, 3v3 breakaways where particularly Jonas Markovsky probably played the wrong pass, and then Suto blazed one over as well. Preston definitely could have punished them, but knowing that Collins was out of the equation, and in order to sort of protect Anthony Thea, who is not a natural central defender, they step off in the second half and let Preston's central defenders have the ball
and wait for their moment. And yeah, just good coaching to adjust your game plan in game based on the personnel that's out there. Heidelberg proving that they are the benchmark, even if maybe in the front three they're not as strong as they were last season.
Definitely not as strong.
I mean, you can see how much it meant to Heidelberg to win that game and how difficult the game had been. By the way, they celebrated on the final whistle. You know, Collins and the whole bench, all the coaching staff were so pumped that they got over the line and got those 3 points. Obviously disappointing for Preston to lose their third straight against the Burgers, but I saw enough in that performance to suggest that Preston are a different proposition going forward than they were last season.
Well, we've done a few of these Preston-Heidelberg games together now. I thought compared to last year, Preston was a lot more in this game on Sunday than they were compared to last year. They looked like they could actually win the game, whereas the other two, the elimination final in particular, they did not look like they were going to win that game. And even the game at Geneseo Stadium last year, they were never really in it. I don't think they created any chances in that game.
Very limited.
But they looked like they could have won the game, but they didn't. And, we were foolish to think that they would, considering that JA has never lost back-to-back games and proved that, they're able to bounce back. They learn from a defeat. And I saw him say in his post-match interview, at this time last year they had 7 points. Now they've got 9 points, so they're already ahead of where they were last year. So credit to them. They were very, very good Heidelberg. You can't take the win away from them. I thought Lachie, mate, that guy is way too good for this league. He's seriously, if he doesn't win the gold medal this year, the voting system's wrong. He is by far the best player in this league. He's so good to watch. And if he goes down with an injury, which touch wood he doesn't, that's when Heidelberg could struggle because he's the linchpin of that team. He's tracking back. He's tracking back for the goal. He's the one that ran all the way back, won the ball back, and then Lachie played the first pass, but it was his work rate. The amount of times he broke up play, dictated the tempo of the play, he's just a phenomenal player to watch.
Yeah, 100%. And there was one 2-footed tackle he made in the second half that it sounds bad if you're going for a 2-footed tackle. This one was unbelievable. I watched him go in and I sort of went, oh no, like what are you doing, Leslie? And he just took the ball and didn't even touch the man.
Yeah.
And the Preston bench went up because it's a 2-footed challenge, but it's not even a foul. It was
right in front of us.
One of the best side tackles I've ever seen in my life. Yeah. How you have that much control going in with that much force with 2 feet showing is absolutely insane. I'll throw it north of the border. Fellas, what did you make of this one?
Well, I just want to say, on the point around how Heidelberg have had to approach things a little differently because they don't have the pieces. It actually has reminded me a little bit of the 2024 season when, if you remember that year, it was still a solid year for the Burgers. They were still impressive, but John Anastasiadis, again, that was a year where he didn't have a lot of the pieces that he would otherwise want to have had in attack. Remember, Kane Shepherd was the striker. Josh Pinn was sometimes using that position, although it's not his natural position, and he was in and out of the side with injuries. And that team, again, by necessity, became a very defense-first, more solid at the back and worry about the rest of the bits and pieces, hard-to-beat sort of team later. And the year after that was the evolution. So it's almost like Johnny A has taken a step back to that to try and take this team forward. And this is just what this guy does, right? Like, a broken clock is wrong or is right twice a day, right? Obviously, the opposite of that is just a correct clock that's always telling the time. So it's not really a fair sort of equivalent. But, Johnny A is like a top-of-the-range Rolex that's just got like a slightly older battery, He might have been a little bit slow last week against Dandenong City, but there's no way he's going to be, he's going to be wrong twice. He was bang on again. He found the way, as he always does. And John Anastasiadis has proved to us why he is the best coach out of this country outside Ange Postecoglou. Those are not my words. Those are the words of Vic Touchline. I was joking, but I do think that this is, especially in the context of maybe having been a little tactically outthought by Nick Tolios the week before, from the substitutions that weren't injury enforced at the right time, the right kind of player, Jay McGowan coming on, to the difference in approach to limit the strengths that Preston have got. I just thought that this was a real triumph, as if he needed more for John Anastasiadis as a coach.
Yeah, just off the back of that, I mean, we heard Johnny A last week say that it was almost like they needed to have that loss, bit of a reality check for Heidelberg, a bit of an opportunity for them to hit the reset button. Their first 2 weeks were okay without being spectacular. They got those first 2 wins, having to, I guess, be right up against it against Standy Thunder and Green Gully. They had that loss, and then you come into a big game like this, and that is the exact sort of response that you'd want coming into a game like this. You put behind last week, you shrug off that sort of bad loss, the sort of reality check you need, and you can only imagine what the preparation was going into it in terms of the training sessions, in terms of the motivation, and they were right up for this game. And look, in that first half, there were moments. I mean, Preston had the ball in the back of the net through Stefan Zini, where Preston did look like the better team in moments, and it felt like, well, Preston are right up for this, and it feels like they're going to strike first. But the more they stayed into this game, the more that they were able to get comfortable, and the more that they were able to, get themselves into this contest. And I mean, we've waxed lyrical about Anthony Lesiotis, but his impact just in terms of controlling things in the middle of the park is so important, going both ways. So all in all, such an impressive result for Heidelberg.
It absolutely was. And I also, it's away from the field, from the X's and O's of the game as well. But I wanted to mention it because it was such a moving sort of thing. I can only imagine how moved and motivated the players were, having gone into that game off the back of their season launch during the week, which if you didn't see it, their former player, Ange Gutsioulis, got up on stage and spoke about his battle that he's undergoing currently with motor neurone disease. And it was just this incredibly touching moment of this person who's suffering this just immensely troubling and difficult battle, to get up there on stage to talk about the significance and the meaning of this club. There is no way that wasn't playing on the minds of these players walking into BT Connor Reserve on Sunday. And kudos to Ange for what he did that week. Kudos to the club for sharing that around. Kudos to the club for fighting for him, and that will obviously go on. He'll be supported with charity days at the club, and we wish him absolutely all the best. I just thought that reflected really well on the club as an entirety, and it was great they were able to get up for him in the week of that news sort of coming to public light.
Beautifully said, Lachie. What about Preston then? Was it a penalty, Ivka?
Well,
we played it down on the broadcast.
Yes, we did. And
upon repeat viewing,
well, I'm not going to say who I spoke to, but it was the direct source of the foul, and I think he was pretty adamant that it was probably a foul and it should have been given a penalty. So I think
there may have also been a certain match official who admitted he may have made a mistake in the club room's post-match.
Yep.
Credit to him. He's always honest.
Look, from our vantage point, and even on the camera position, it didn't look like it. It was 50-50. To me, it looked like Jamal Ali threw his body at it. But
we're at exactly the wrong angle, though. You want to see the reverse angle.
I think we were wrong from who we spoke to after the game. But nonetheless, Preston could rely on a 94th minute penalty to get back into that game. I thought there were some concerns for Preston. Cuba not being able to play in that 10 role is a concern for them. They lose a lot when he's playing a little bit deeper in midfield, obviously with no Adekube still. So that's a bit of a concern for them, because Suto's good. I actually don't mind him. He's a tidy little player, but he's not as effective attacking-wise as Cooper is. He doesn't make those late runs into the box. I don't think it doesn't appear like he's got a decent long-range shot like Cooper does. So they lose a little bit when Cooper's not playing in that role. And he looked spent, Cooper, running box-to-box all game. He looked stuffed. And that was probably reflective in his corner kicks that were quite poor. Preston had a lot of corners and his delivery was poor. So they need to find the right balance in midfield. George Mialides was really good. It was probably his best performance for Preston. Went close to scoring in the second half. And he was tidy. He played some good passes. But yeah, that didn't feel like the right balance in midfield on Sunday. And that striking position for Preston that's plagued them for a couple of years now. they need to find the right balance in that too. Jonas actually played decently, but wasn't effective in the box. So maybe the 9 role isn't his.
Yeah, it's funny because he was getting the right positions. He was winning the ball really well in kind of 50-50 duels in those sort of transition scenarios. And then again, just making the wrong decision or not quite having the vision to pick the right pass. It was quite frustrating. And then Romero comes on and he's not a box presence because he's dropping so deep because he's frustrated he's not getting the ball. He's dropping not to a number 10, he's dropping to a number 8 to pick it up. And they've got no one to cross to. How many crosses does Preston send in that second half?
Yeah, I think that's what Zoran Markowski would have been disappointed with. He loves to get numbers in the box, and that's where they were lacking. That was more Heidelberg as well. I thought Carlo Sullivan for Heidelberg, it was really, really good. Obviously, first time watching him in the flesh, I thought he was fantastic at fullback. Really stifled Chianchi in that first half, had no impact in the game really. Struggled against him. He's just a powerful fullback. But yeah, Preston, a few things to work on. Look, it wasn't a bad performance. They were in the contest, but just felt like a few things just weren't right in that big game that they would need to have a look at because, winning week to week is one thing, but then when you're coming up against Heidelberg and these top tier teams that you're going to be competing with, that's where they need to have a look at things. And it was a big loss for Preston because now you look at the table, Heidelberg's 6 points clear of Preston now. Had Preston have won, they would have been equal points with one of the teams they're going for that championship with. So now 6 point gap. That's can't see Heidelberg dropping too many points throughout the season. It's a decent sized gap now.
And something about grandmas and wheels comes to mind. But if Preston didn't have the points deduction, they would be top of the table. I think is important to note.
I won't say my name.
But
look, I'm probably not as defensive and light on Preston as you guys were because watching the game on Sunday at BT Connor Reserve, I personally thought that there was a sort of massive blinking red light for me from what I saw, which, we talk about the caliber of players that Preston attract, who they bring in. And yet for some reason, inexplicably in this game, seemingly their biggest signing of the offseason was left totally unused, was sitting on the sideline. I mean, what was the cement mixer doing not on the pitch? When you got that thing, there was a big cement mixer watching on in his Preston tracksuit. If you go look at the left-hand side of screen on the stream, trust me, you won't miss it. Hey, Ivka, you want them to have the best defensive record in Victorian football. Stick that thing in front of the goals, not behind it. Jesus Christ. That's what I mean. Talk about getting it in the mixer. They've got a literal mixer. Come on. Get creative. Innovate, guys. You can't be leaving your big stars out there watching on the football.
Did I notice that? I wonder if that was product placement by Preston or that was just couldn't get the truck out in time.
Oh, no, it's 100% product placement. That thing's inflatable, I think.
What?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's not a real cement mixer, is it? Is it seriously an actual vehicle?
Josh, how would I know? I'm in Sydney. I haven't walked out there and touched it recently, mate.
Hey, you two were there.
I'll have to investigate it the next home game. I assumed it was a promotional.
Look,
Josh,
is
that maybe it's more like media and communications manager way of saying that your star signing is just injury prone. He's a little inflatable, We'll see him in 6 to 8 weeks when he's a bit more solid.
Hey, well, now you've given him the pump up. He might be ready to go.
Hey.
I bet my balls that there'll be a couple of cement mixers now at Summer Street with Tomset plastered all over it, celebrated their concrete works.
Can't let Preston outdo him there.
Now, if ever there was a club that would actually put a cement mixer up top, there you go.
Cement Mixich. Biggest star signing. No, look, for Preston, I think it's also worth mentioning that Leighton Brooks was laid out with injury, and I think it wasn't so much that he wasn't in the team, which obviously he's a source of inspirational moments and goals in big games, as we saw against Oakleigh. But it's also the fact that it just eats into your depth chart. So you've got Zinni starting instead of coming off the bench, which I think he's going to be more effective this season as an impact substitute because he is so quick and he's,
And you knew he wasn't going to play 90 minutes as well.
No, exactly. He's not going to last 90. And then, John Albano coming off the bench, I thought he was really poor, unfortunately.
Yeah, he was.
And, you'd love to have sort of Zinni in that spot and Brooks starting. And then we mentioned the Atakubi thing. I mean, if Atakubi plays, he probably displaces, one of Mihalidis or Suto, and one of those guys can come off the bench. So you don't have that pop in. And Preston's got a deep squad. We're not crying for Preston's lack of players or anything.
Yeah, but I think the lack of attacking depth will be an issue for them. Like a perfect example on Sunday, Albano and Romero were the only attacking options that they have. And if it's not working, I thought Chianchi probably was the poorest game he had for Preston. Probably not because of his ability, more just Heidelberg was good defensively. He tried on O'Sullivan in the first half and moved to Fulton's side in the second half to try and get some joy, and it just didn't happen for him. But that's where you would want to maybe change it and bring someone else on, but he didn't have the options. So the midfield depth is no issue for Preston. Once Kubelay's back as well, Payos is at full fitness, Adekube's back, there's going to be some good players not playing in that team. But yeah, attacking depth, and that's obviously hampered by Abdallah leaving and Luca Tavir leaving as well. So they didn't probably get the right balance that probably Markovsky wanted.
Does Zoc have maybe a creative dilemma on his hands when it comes to that sixth position? Does they stick with the same midfield this week against Georgie's, do you think? Because maybe you don't need as much, holding midfield presence against George Cross. You're probably going to come out and sit a bit more defensively.
You might actually against George Cross because they're very good in the midfield, Georgie's. Yeah. They're very hard working.
Well, I mean, it could be Payos for maybe an hour if he's got an hour in his legs. It could even be one of Bryce or Lee stepping up.
Yeah, I personally would go with Payos in that role because he's a little bit more creative. Mehalid is where Kuba's playing and Kuba where Suto's playing. So that's probably the right balance. But Payos, I don't think he's nowhere near match fit yet. He's just getting drip fed into the squad. It'll take him a few weeks to get up to speed. But yeah, it is an issue to find that right balance, which Preston struggled with last year as well. They just could never get that right midfield balance, the right attacking balance. So, as much as we pumped Preston up in the pre-season, it is going to take time.
Yeah, look, I still think they were right in it against the reigning champions. They convert one of those chances in the first half. It's different story.
Yeah, definitely not doom and gloom.
Preston, I mean, I need a few more things to go right if you're going to beat Heidelberg, and they didn't quite have that the luck, maybe the decisions, and also maybe the personnel as well.
Yeah, like we said, they were in the contest. They were better than they were last year in those games. But yeah, still things to work on for them.
Well, we've dived into this marquee fixture in pretty good depth. Gentlemen, do you have any other observations from Heidelberg, Preston? Shakes of heads all round. So let's push on to Green Gully 1, Hume City 1 on a Friday night at Keilor Downs. It was a pretty disastrous first half, it looked like, for Green Gully when they conceded a penalty with Luka Romic flying out off his line and it being duly converted. But Green Gully were a different team after half-time and came out and scored at least one sensational goal from a diving header from Scott Lockhead off a brilliant Bilal Habib delivery, and was the better team in the second half. Ivka, green shoots?
It was positive signs for Green Gully. Definitely nowhere near where they should be. I thought they actually started the game pretty well as well. Probably first 5 minutes, Hume was good. But for about 20, 25 minutes, Green Gully were decent. Kerr had that great chance cleared off the line. I don't know how Kalfas.
Oh my God!
I don't know how he's that.
How did he stop that?
I thought that was a goal.
I mean, there was quite a few clearances off the line. I mean, the Heidelberg Preston game, though, they weren't quite as demanding, but that one was a miracle.
Yeah, that camera angle was perfect for that shot. You just see Kerr come across. I thought it was a goal. I have no idea how he saved that. But then they had the break for the players that were fasting, and then that's when the penalty happened straight after that. After they had that break, and Green Gully lost all the momentum they'd built. I have no idea why Romic has come flying off his line. There's absolutely no need to come off his line at all for that ball. The whole back four was still there to deal with that through ball. Just a bit of a brain fade by him. But look, positive for Green Gully that they did play better. And what impressed me, especially in the first half, was the desire from the players. That's what had been lacking for those first few games. It just looked like they had no heart. But you could tell that they had a rocket up their arse and they were out there to prove a point, which they did. They were competitive, didn't get the 3 points, but they'll take a little baby step where they didn't leak too many goals and scored a decent goal themselves. I thought Bilal Habib playing on the wing was a bit of a difference maker for them too. I mentioned last week that he's not the solution to their striking position, and he provided a lot more attacking opportunities for them playing out wide with Kerr on the other side. But then what's his name?
Gatkek.
He played through the middle.
That's not his position.
Yeah, you can tell because he had a poor game.
He's a 10 at best, maybe more of an 8 or 6.
Yeah,
they've got square pegs in round holes up front, which is, I mean, talk about doing the time warp with Green Gully.
But is that possibly, Josh, a case of addition by subtraction, though? Like, yes, you're not getting the answer that you maybe want with Gatkek as the striker, but if you're trying things that are different in that position, and the consequence of that is you free up Bilal Habib to play where he's probably better played, cutting in from that left-hand side, either shaping to shoot or getting balls into the penalty area, as we saw for the goal, then maybe you're not that disappointed as David Chick, because you've still found a marginal gain just by the mere virtue of moving him out into that natural position. Because, yeah, okay, maybe Gatkek's not the answer in that particular position, but maybe next week someone else will be, and then you've got the benefit of a better Bilal Habib, and you've got a better player in that position, as opposed to just a player doing the best that they can with what they've got, and then the left winger you're playing as well isn't necessarily delivering.
Do you reckon they should draw straws for who has to play up front each week? Who has to make the sacrifice?
Who would you... Honestly, no. If Romic had not had such a high-profile sort of error in this game and had not been necessarily the most convincing since he's come into the Gully spot, I would maybe say that there is only, one goalkeeper in NPL Victoria to my... Well, sorry.
There's two.
Two goalkeepers, but only one at Green Gully who has scored from open play, and that is, of course, Michael Weier. So
I believe, according to the commentary, his name was Michael Weier. But anyway, that was his first game in NPL, so we'll forgive that.
I just want to go back. You guys talked about the Aaron Calver bit of heroics to early on in the game, and God, he's been such a good signing for Hume City, but. When I saw that, talking about heroics, it reminded me of... Do you guys remember before the 2010 World Cup, there used to be that ad, typical World Cup ads, and there was the ad with Cannavaro, and he makes the goal-saving clearance.
Che Cannavaro, Che Capitano.
So now I'm going to put this... last week we had our pick and stick, so now I'm putting this back to you guys. All right. Fabio Cannavaro or Aaron Calver?
Calver.
Yeah, let's go Calver.
Interesting.
He's happened in a real game. I'm going to go with Aaron Calver instead of the fictitious...
What do you mean?
I've got a real...
You told me it wasn't real this whole time?
There's something called movie magic that we have to break to you here, Nick.
I've got a real solution for Green Gully's striking, boys. It's called the Under-23s team, and I'm sure there's a striker that plays in that team that you just promote into your senior team that can play that role for you.
Well, maybe that would be a possibility, Ivka, if a certain hibernating A-League club hadn't raided Gully's junior age groups to put a team together at the last minute.
Okay, fair point. But still, instead of playing defensive midfielders as your 9 and wingers as your 9 that aren't working, have a look around the club. That's what you got to give opportunities to.
And you find somebody in the dressing rooms, maybe in the bistro. Could you be Green Gully's answer up top?
Instead of winning bingo, you win. You're the number.
You've won a meat tray and you're starting up front. Congratulations.
They should use the PA system to their advantage at the ground. You often have like the could the white Toyota Yaris with the registration plate 2UE7V6 please move your car? It is blocking the ambulance lane. You just do that. Like you just watch who comes to the field during the week. Watch who looks like they've got a decent touch on the sideline. Could the rotund man in his 40s wearing a grey shirt on the sideline please put on your boots? We need you to play up top next week.
I've got one. You know how you spoke about before how the cement mixer could do a job for Preston in defence? I've got my answer for Green Gully striker. Come on, play. It doesn't want to work.
Oh,
for us.
no 5G connectivity in Sydney, I
The
see.
Green Gully bus is sitting there idle. They talk about parking the bus in the fence. Put the bus against the cement mixer.
Maybe
and
they
put them up front.
maybe they need like the tuba player from the marching band.
I mean, if you ever want to know that we are actually still 4 independent people who think with different brains, Ivka was complaining about playing defensive. Ivka is sitting in Melbourne saying, you know, don't play another defensive midfield there. It's a defensive midfielder there, and I was sitting here right before he was saying that, thinking to myself, gee, I wonder how Josh Hope would go as a false 9. That'd be really interesting. So there's not a total hive mind. One thing as well that I do think has been a big factor for Green Gully this season so far. Let's talk about it, because I did listen to Taufik Olamawewe's review of the game, and he actually made a really good point that Gully have conceded 4 penalties already this season. So individual errors, the moments in concentration, you know, Romic's was but the latest in a series of really clumsy moments that have cost Gully in critical moments of this season. And, you know, they've in previous games turned respectable losses into blowouts, turned points into losses, and in this case turned 3 points, you know, into one, because the goal that they found ended up obviously being cancelled out.
Yeah, I do want to defend Romic for a second here. I mean, I know he was bad against Avondale. There's no excusing that performance and the free kick, of course. But I thought he made some good saves. Like, he actually, like, I know he made the error for the goal, but that's also a defensive breakdown. You can't blame it solely on the keeper. He's a young kid. He's a second-choice goalkeeper. How many teams have a good second-choice goalkeeper at this level? Very few. Maybe South Melbourne is one of the only ones. Dandy City, maybe. But you know, if you're counting Pierce Clark as the second choice, I guess. But, you know, they're thin on the ground, and I thought he made some really good stops.
Yeah, look, that's a fair point. He is young as well. Did play for Port Melbourne last year and had a up and down season. He does have moments where he makes great saves, and then he has the moment like the penalty where, you know, just a brain fade. But he's learning, and you're right. He did pull off some good saves to redeem himself for that penalty error.
Nick's got something brewing, I can tell.
No.
No, my screen, my laptop screen has just popped up with the cement mixer, and I've zoomed in on it. I'm trying to work out if it's an inflatable. No way, that's an inflatable.
That is not inflatable.
Oh, okay.
That's got to be real. Although I did notice it wasn't moving, so it didn't have any cement in it, because that would have set. Anyway, let's not get sidetracked.
Do you know what? When Preston play Avondale this season, do you know what they should bring out? Do you remember when Italy won the Euros and there was the Pronto cement mixer doing laps around Lygon Street that had the signage of the Italian national team, and the cement mixer was a soccer ball? Imagine at one end, you've got the Preston cement mixer, and at the other, you've got the Pronto. That is good marketing right there.
To be fair, the amount of goals that we had this week, it basically was like there were 2 cement mixers in front of the goal.
Can the listeners tell it's been a low-scoring round by what we're talking about today? All right, there's one final thing I wanted to bring up, and I was thinking about this during the week. Green Gully, we were talking about historic underachievement by this club, and some of the players that have been through the team and left just in the 2020s alone is like an all-star team of NPL Victoria. And if they had that team today, and yes, their budget probably wouldn't stretch to accommodate all these players, but if they had these players today in 2026, I think they would be a championship favourite. So going from back to front, Driscoll, who's a very good goalkeeper when he wasn't injured, Jordan Lampard, probably the best left back in the league now, Jordan Hall and Jacob Eliopoulos, 2 of the best centre halves. Justin Spiteri is a bit of a polar bear in Arlington, Texas here, but he was very good for Bulleen last season. He is a Gully junior. Gully sorely need a right back with Matthew Crooks injured, and he's starting for Georgies now. So I think they would have him in the team in a heartbeat right now. A midfield 3 of Adolf Kadakpo, who's playing professionally overseas, Jamie Latham, who's one of the best midfielders in the league, and Luca Tevere, who's playing in the A-League and giving a very nice assist for Perth Glory over the weekend.
Man of the match in that game.
And then a front three, and get ready for this. Hold on to your pants. Noel Bernarda, Alex Salmon, and Amir Abdallah. That is a ridiculous
From the
team.
sounds of things, Josh, there's only one person whose pants are holding on.
Yes. Yeah. No, I'm not going to say that. But these are players who've left Green Gully in the 2020s alone. I mean, they have had some great talent come through that club, and they have won nothing. So this underachievement is not new to this group or this coaching staff. I think they have to
Josh,
maybe have a review of football
quote's right
operations.
there. It is the history of the Green Gully. Like, I said this. The team, like, okay, I don't want to lose sight of the fact that this week was a step forward and there's stuff to build on for the weeks ahead. But it's like I said a couple of weeks ago. This team is like the cat in the Matrix. You just see it walking past like a few times. It's the same cat, you know? It's every problem they've had is a problem they've had 2 years ago. Talent ID, evidently, has never been the issue. You could put that team in Green Gully shirts right now, Josh, and it would miss the finals because it's not – that's extreme. But my point is it has never been about, and it still isn't about the quality of players that they've got. It is about getting them to cohesively work in a system that fits them best and having a striker.
Basically, Josh, you're talking about this could be a great Bill Simmons episode of the Green Gully 2020 redraftables, and, you know, him, Chris Ryan and not Ryan Rosillo and Zach Lowe draft their best 11 of the Green Gully players of yesteryear over the last 6 seasons. It could be something.
And at the end, they do a vote on like which like how McDonald's has that vote on which food item would you put back on the menu for like 2 weeks. Oh yeah, which item from the Gully Bistro would you put back on the menu? Yeah, I reckon the veal can go on there for 2 weeks.
I reckon the chicken saltimbocca that was a big winner.
Which Elvis impersonator is getting the redraftable spot in the Green Gully all times?
And at the end, we get a bit of Jono Clemente life advice. But let's not give that segment away to the Ringer just yet, because if there's another weekend as low scoring as this one, we may well be rolling out that segment in weeks to come. Speaking of
House, what's your top 5 Preston cement mixers?
top 5. Give me a top 7 or a top 4. It's got to be a random number, Lachie. Speaking
how
of,
would the cement mixer perform alongside Jason Tatum on the Boston Celtics?
I want to talk about expectations and messaging, because we've had a lot of post-match interviews go out over the weekend, but few of them were as diametrically opposed as Hume City's goalkeeper, Chris Oldfield, and Hume City's head coach, Nick Hegarty. Let's have a listen.
We're all disappointed. It feels like a loss to us.
I'm not disappointed at all. I don't know why you're disappointed.
Was it disappointing or not, fellas?
Well, there's 2 very differing opinions there, isn't it? I thought I would go with Chris Oldfield, really. They had enough chances to win that game, so they probably would feel a bit disappointed. I think Hegg's just doing the positive media spin there to, don't make it look as bad as it is.
Well, let's push on then to Dandenong City 0, George Cross 0. A real snooze fest of a game. But Ivka, after they've won their first few, did a scoreless draw away at Frank Holohan finally give you cause to give George Cross a bit of well-deserved praise for once?
Georgies. I'm on the bandwagon. You've got me, boys. I take it all back. Take all the predictions back. You're going to make the top 4 and win the whole competition. No, I won't go that far.
You already know what's going to happen right now, Ivka, is that you've gotten on the bandwagon. They're going to go on a generational losing run, and then the Georgies fans are going to get on the blower of this podcast, and Rodney Eade style just, get Ivka off! Get him off!
I'll tell you what, mate, you won't be visiting Malta anytime soon.
Golly,
Malta won't be helping you with any tourism.
Golly, we can't think. We can't get him off.
You'll be more than welcome at Floriana, mate.
Look, in all seriousness, are they a great side? No. Are they a very hardworking, organised, grinding team? Yes, they are. I think Vasiliadis has got them set up very, very well. The work rate is unbelievable from that team, especially defensively, they throw their bodies on the line for absolutely everything. They're very desperate, and the hunger's there. I just have concerns that it's not sustainable. You can be a very hardworking team, but it will come to a point where, it's just going to go against you. I still think scoring goals is an issue for them. They did create a couple of chances against Dandy City. Having said that, Georgie's fans are going to be on me again. I thought Dandy City deserved to win the game. Latham
You can't help it.
Latham had some...
Don't back down, double down.
Yep.
Don't back down, double down.
Latham had some gilt-edged chances.
Sorry, Lachie, that was a terrible Scottish accent.
He probably should have scored 2 goals at least, Latham. Had some killer chances that he missed. I thought Dandy City created the better chances, but didn't find the back of the net, and that's because Georgies were just so desperate not to concede. So I'll take my hat off to them. They're really desperate to stay in contest, which they have been doing. Another big test for them this week, going to Preston in a big game. But they're undefeated, Georgies, so can't criticise them at all. They're doing what they need to do. They're picking up a lot of points early on and getting ahead of the pack, which you need to do in this competition. So credit to them.
I have to say, I was wrong about Georgies, and not just in terms of where I thought they were going to finish. In terms of the side I thought they were going to be. I was looking at last season in VPL 1 and looking at the Showtime George Cross fucking Lakers, they're just scoring so many goals, having like 4-3 comeback wins, spiritual, mental and psychological and philosophical recoveries. And it turns out they're actually Bentleigh. They're actually what I thought Bentleigh were going to be. They grind it out. They're the Memphis Grizzlies.
Well, fellas, I know we're only 4 games into the season, but they've conceded a single goal. They've kept 3 clean sheets. And this wasn't completely in the context of last season. Yes, as you say, Josh, it's surprising, but in the context of Eric Vasiliadis, who deserves, I think, a lot of credit for the opening month of this season, getting this is, with the greatest of respect, probably not a list on paper that a lot of people would have said, how many clean sheets will this side, this 11, keep in NPL Victoria in the opening month? I don't think the answer would have been 3 for many people. He is getting the most out of a sum of its parts team, and it is a bit of a hearkening back to some of the Eric Vasiliadis teams of yesterday when he was a coach at Port Melbourne, for example, which, wasn't a team that set the world on fire, but they were always a very defensively solid, hard to get around sort of team. And again, to go back to sort of the comparison with John Anastasiadis, we all want to play pretty football. We all want to be exploring the high ideals of modern footballing tactics, but sometimes you just got to take a step back in ideology. Go back to the sort of from the Homo sapien back to the caveman, or maybe back to the Homo erectus. I think that's one step back, and just play the football that works for you. And Eric Vasiliadis knows and has a body of work that this football can be functional, can be effective defensively at the top level. He's doing it. It's working. Good on him.
I mean, Josh, I know why you thought they were going to be not a hard to, well, they were going to be the complete opposite of a hard to break down team, is because their star centre back, according to you, wasn't going to be at the club.
He's been probably their best player that they've got.
And thank goodness, he stuck around despite, malicious transfer rumours swirling in the off season.
But again, full credit to Gully. Sometimes you've just got to do what you have to do to get the points. And yeah, they rode their luck a little bit, but if you have to have a couple of games in a season that are a bit of a kangaroo poo of a fixture, that's what you've got to do to get the points in this competition.
So, I mean, some of those Dandy City missed chances, though, enough to send you hopping mad, Ivka.
Well, you talk about the Maltese people hating me, they're going to hate Lachie even more because he just called Georgie's Green Gully. So it was him, not me. It was him.
No, sorry, I had them mixed up with another Maltese team, the Eltham Redbacks.
But I echo Lachie's point. This Vasiliadis is actually a very smart coach because he's recognised that, what he's got, the league they're in. If you're hard to beat, it's a step forward. We saw Altona Magic last year, very, very similar. Just make sure you're hard to beat. Don't concede goals and you're a chance in this competition. And I guarantee you he would have used our predictions and other people's predictions of them getting relegated as motivation for that playing group. He would have said to the players, no one rates us. Let's fight together. Let's, use this as ammunition to prove everyone wrong. And it's working for him.
But if you didn't post your pre-game pump-up on Instagram, did it really happen, Ivka? That's the question we've got to answer philosophically this week. But we'll leave VPL 1 until a little bit later.
We've got one last thing just to sum up the game. Just one last. I got a tune to play. That's just going to sum up the contest. So join in the chorus and sing it one and all. Join in the chorus of Melbourne's on the ball.
I'm just glad that the new surface at Frank Holohan is so well fertilised.
Well, Nick may laugh at his own joke now, but what he doesn't realise is he's just committed a federal offence in the city of Sydney, and the New South Wales police are on the way to the house to arrest him right now for violation of the NRL state code.
Yeah, the cops are about to rugby tackle you, Nick, or as they call it in Sydney, league tackle you.
Yeah, the boys at the bunnies are hopping up here and the Rabbitohs, so I probably should have made more of a reference to a certain other time. I've had enough. I can't say it.
just on Dandy City, they'd be very disappointed with that performance. You go out and beat Heidelberg the week before, come back home and don't get maximum points. Just inconsistent start to the season yet again for Dandenong City. They weren't poor in the game, but unfortunately, these are the games you need to be winning at home to really cement your place in that top six. And you don't want to go through what you went through last season where you just scraped into the six. Sure, it ended well, but you don't want to be doing that again. You want to be comfortable in that six. So they'll be disappointed they didn't get 3 points in that one.
That's way longer than that 0-0 draw deserved. So, Tolsy, don't tell us again. We never talk about Dandy City games. We definitely do. Altona, Magic 0, St Albans 1. Another snooze fest, Ivka, I'm afraid. But there was one observation I wanted to make from this game, and that is that in the lead up to, and I may edit a screenshot in here, in the lead up to the Dinamo goal, you could be forgiven for thinking they're attacking in the other direction. Such was the Altona Magic marking. There are 3 players, completely unmarked, and they're on the... It's not as if they're hanging around at the back post. They're on the ball side of the pitch. What is going on?
Yeah, it was poor defending for that one. Michael Platt on the score sheet, which was good to see.
Yeah, they gave him the length of the Flemington straight to run into. I mean, if you're going to mark him like that, then even Michael Platt can't miss.
This was a poor game on the weekend. We spoke about the high quality of Preston Heidelberg between both sides. This was just poor quality between 2 average sides, really. I think we might have overestimated Dinamo's capabilities going into the season. From what I've seen so far, unfortunately for them, it's going to be another scrap. They got the 3 points. They definitely weren't convincing in it. They'll take the 3 points and, they're off the mark now. So something to build on, but not a convincing win. And Altona Magic, another disappointing performance. You thought with their round 1 victory that maybe we got it wrong on them, but I think the preceding games have proven that they are going to be struggling to stay up in this competition, unfortunately.
May I zag for just the one real positive that we spoke about last week that St Albans had to do in these fixtures? These are the games they lost last year. So in terms of getting points on the board, as much as it wasn't one of their best performances, it wasn't a performance that made you, I guess, stand up and go, wow, now they're going to be in contention for finals. They won. It's something that they didn't do against Altona last year. And, we spoke about that they took points. They were basically the Robin Hood of the NPL last year, but it hasn't started that way in the early going with, that gallant loss against Oakleigh. So the fact that they were able to, I guess, equalise that and get that win against Altona is really important. Heading into a stretch of games it's going to be a very difficult stretch of games for them. They've got a real mixed bag of games. Melbourne City away in Casey, not easy whatsoever. Heidelberg at home, Georgie's away, Avondale at home, Hume away. There's some big games coming up for them in these next 5 where they'll really get a good mix of different types of styles they'll come up against. Some of the best teams in the league, some of the teams that haven't been performing nearly as highly. But I think that the fact that they were able to go on the road and beat Altona, something they weren't able to do. They weren't able to get a point against them last year. So being able to do that this time around is a plus for them.
Lachie, I could see you sort of staring vacantly into the distance in the background there, and I could tell you're saying, don't ask me any questions about these two teams.
No. Mate, you know me. I can generate my own heat. I don't need to be asked questions. Altona, I have to say that the blinking red light for me, because my assertion that they would be a team who would stay up this year, and I'm not necessarily saying that's over in 4 rounds in, was how defensively solid and resolute they were last year. That was a big edge for them against some of the other teams they're in that relegation race with. And yeah, they are, like, you're probably thinking, okay, well, you're talking about a game where they only conceded 1 goal, but Josh has already mentioned the nature of the way that they conceded, and I agree, it was soft, and it was a little bit similar to a couple of the goals that they conceded last week, like that one for Bernardo against South Melbourne. This point in the season as well, they've conceded 7. Only Green Gully have conceded more. I think they had only at this same time last year conceded, I think it was 3 or 4. So it's not a major increase, but if you drag those numbers out over the course of the season, the difference ends up being pretty significant. So I don't know whether it's a change in personnel, but definitely something needs to tighten up there if they're going to be as competitive in the relegation race, and they would hope more this season as distinct from last.
Well, Lachie, you were staring vacantly into the distance like a Frank Holohan kangaroo chewing on some grass. So I'm amazed you've come up with a cogent point there. But as always, you had something to say.
I surprised myself, Josh, honestly.
Let's go to Dandenong Thunder 0, Avondale FC 1, and oof, a rocket off the right boot of Emlyn Wellsmore that was moving this way and that. Absolutely no chance for the keeper, Mark Ivkovic.
Pig's ass. You can't get beaten from that distance. Sorry. Great run.
This is why we can't have nice things.
Great run. Good hit. You got to save that. Poor positioning. Outside.
Ivka,
Yep.
have you seen the maxi cam?
I've seen it. Not having it.
That thing goes left and then right and then...
Come on, mate.
Nah.
Come on.
Only
That
the
was
top
the
maybe 3 or 4 keepers are
ball
saving
of
that.
goals.
See,
That
this
was
is
the
this
Gadding
is
ball of goals.
this is the difference between Dandenong Thunder in 2026 and Dandenong Thunder in 2025. You reckon Jamie Young gets beaten from that distance? No chance. So that's the difference. And having said that, that was the only bloody chance Avondale had all game, and that's the one that went in, and they won the game. I don't think Avondale should be getting too carried away with that performance. They really created little in that game, as did Dandenong Thunder. They did have a goal ruled out, Thunder, which was a very, very line ball. Didn't look offside to me, and that was a bit of a momentum killer because they were on the charge then and kind of lost their way a little bit after that goal got disallowed. I just still can't work out how you have George Ott and Bruno Fornaroli up top together, and we'll speak about this every single week until it starts clicking. How can you have probably the best attacking lineup and not create any chances? How does Fornaroli not look like he's going to score in a game? I don't get it. How do you not maximise that partnership? It's very bizarre to me that they haven't got that going. Look, Fornaroli played okay. George Ott was good. He held the ball up a lot. And I think that will come to fruition, that Fornaroli and Ott partnership at some point. It has to. But I just can't understand how it's not clicking yet.
I think it's a bit top heavy, and like a house of cards, you can fall over. That's why football's such an interesting sport, because it's not about who has the most talented players all the time. It's about how do the jigsaw pieces fit together. And it's very difficult to play with 2 number 9s. That's why most teams don't do it.
Yeah, look, credit to Avondale, they are very good defensively. They're not conceding a lot of goals, which is good.
And they're very similar number 9s as well in a lot of ways. It's not Crouch and Defoe. They both want the ball in sort of the same sorts of areas.
Yeah.
And we've seen it time and again in world football.
It might come to a point where, unfortunately for George Ott, that it's just going to have to be Bruno solo, because in the championship they weren't playing both of them up top together. They obviously in that Morton City game they did.
Ott missed a few games.
Not being funny, the one game they did it was a 0-0 draw.
Yeah.
I'm actually not joking. That's when it happened. It was Preston against Avondale, and I'm pretty sure they took Ott off at halftime.
Yeah, but in the games that Fornaroli was playing by himself, they actually looked half decent attacking wise. Creating chances. Fornaroli was scoring good goals in that competition.
Well, they also had Abdullah and Tevere in that team.
Well, that too. So that, and we're used to seeing Avondale, attack at will. So it's that's why it's a little bit hard for me to get my head around that. They're a very good defensively solid team, but attacking wise, it's still not clicking for them.
Well, you know who Germano's greatest coaching inspiration is? It's Diego Simeone. He played under him.
Well, there you go.
So maybe this is the type of football that Jonathan wants his side to play. Just do enough to win, grind out results, and
yeah, that's okay if you don't have the attacking players. You've got the attacking players. You've got the best bloody striker that's ever played in this league playing for you. So that's, fair enough if they had personnel issues. I think Green Gully would take any of their attacking players right now in their lineup. So, look, maybe in time they'll get that right combination, but at the moment it's still not clicking for them. But having said that, they got 3 points at George Andrews Reserve, which is very difficult to do. Dandenong Thunder, geez, it's not looking good at the moment, is it?
Well, having said that, having slapped Avondale for winning 1-0 and scoring an amazing goal, do you want to just, praise Thunder to the rafters for losing 1-0? Is we doing upside down land today on the pod?
No, I thought Thunder weren't that great either.
They've got the same points as Green Gully.
They're the only winless team in the competition, Dandenong Thunder. So
as well as Green Gully.
Yeah, well, the pressure's going to start mounting on them. I'm sure they still came in with high expectations internally to do well in this competition. It's not working, and we mentioned in the preseason preview that they lost big players, and Yuki Yoshida, we spoke about the past couple of weeks. His loss has been probably the biggest one for them. The lack of creativity that they've got going forward is concerning for them. And we had a suspicion that it might be a big fall off, and at the moment, 4 games in, it is, because they were nowhere near like this last year. Yes, it's still early in the competition, and they could get going, but it reminds me a lot of the 2024 season where they really struggled early on in that part of the season, where Pittock didn't have the personnel that he wanted, and I don't think he'd be happy with the personnel that he's got this season.
Anything on Thunder or Avondale for you guys?
I don't know if either of you would have seen or remembered it, but 52nd minute of this game was Seita Murai a little bit lucky to stay on the field there.
100% he was.
That challenge on Sevdim Ismaili was high and not particularly handsome. I reckon Avondale have massively gotten away with one there, not just in terms of the actual maybe result to a certain extent, but the fact, I have to say I'm pretty surprised that he has stayed on the field with that one. So, Thunder, they were not at their best, but they might, as has been their want, we all remember the famous Hume shame game, might feel pretty aggrieved by some of the things that, didn't go their way thereafter.
Do you think Chrissy Trachewski was in Saze's ear before the game saying, listen, these guys broke my leg last time. It's time for revenge.
I don't think so, but that wasn't only that challenge. There was a few other challenges that he made whilst he was on a yellow card that I was surprised he stayed on the pitch that whole game. Yeah, I thought there was enough tackles that he made during that game that he should have been sent off, but he stayed on and they got the 3 points.
Just to add on the Dandy Thunder stuff, guys, I think probably the most alarming thing for them is that from those 4 games, they've played 3 of them at home. And I know they've had some really tough games at home, but they've been in every single one of them. And
one of them was in the daytime, so we've established that doesn't count.
Yeah, and they were so good at home last year. They were formidable at home. And I know they've lost a lot of quality, and it's not the same team as it was last season, but that was a fortress, It's a hard place to go and win, and, they've played the most games at home out of any team in the league so far and only had 1 point out of a possible 9. So they've got a bit to work on the next few weeks. And, to be in this position right now, as you mentioned, Ivka, I don't think that they, despite losing all those players, saw themselves, I guess, being perhaps around here after 4 rounds. So big few weeks to come for them if they can start to turn this one around for them.
All right, I think that's as good a place as any to move on to South Melbourne 1, Bentleigh Greens 0. I thought the OFC Pro League was over. I went back at home with the Matildas, and it was a shambolic goalkeeping error very early on from Mr. Brendan White that gifted Geordie Swibble his tap-in and gifted South Melbourne the 3 points. My memory in this league doesn't stretch back that far, but it stretches back far enough to remember Brendan White doing exactly the same thing for Heidelberg United away to Port Melbourne. So, as they say, he does have a mistake in him.
You know, the worst part about that whole sequence was he blamed Kamara for the pass. Mate, just put your hand up and own it. There was nothing wrong with the pass. You fucked up. Simple as that.
And mate, if I did that, I'd be blaming the pass, the defender, the ground, the opposition, the referee, anyone I could think of.
If I did that, I would have gone down clutching my hamstring. Sub, take me off, done me happy.
And if you'd scored that goal, you would have done your ACL celebrating. So
yeah, let's not go there. Jeez.
The Patreon exclusive of that story. And that could be an all-timer.
Oh, jeez, that's bad flashbacks, that one.
If Cristiano Ronaldo scored that goal in Saudi Arabia, even if he didn't even get a touch on the back pass, he would be celebrating with the big ones.
Oh, 100%. Well, Swipple didn't mind celebrating that goal, didn't he? Geez, Bentleigh Greens, if there's alarm bells ringing for a team, it's Bentleigh. Where do you start with them? They really, I think I've said it every week, I don't know how they're going to score a goal, and I really can't see them scoring in games. They scored the 2 against Avondale, which weren't really created. There was the corner, and the Maxi Petrados won the goal. They did not look like scoring until probably like the 88th minute. They had 2 chances, their first 2 chances at goal that I don't know how.
I'm going to go back and edit our preview podcast, and every time I say the word Bentleigh, I'm going to replace with George Cross and vice versa, and then I'll get my prediction right.
We definitely got the 2 teams mixed up, didn't we, in our preview? Because Bentleigh had 2 chances right at the end of the game that South Melbourne just fell apart defensively. Maybe it was because they were tired.
100%.
Yeah.
They've had a ridiculous schedule.
South should have won this game 3-4-0. They were very, very comfortable in it. Bentleigh were really poor. Yes, they only conceded 1, sort of defensively solid, not with the goal they conceded, but being defensively solid and not looking like scoring in any game is a major concern for them.
Gents, anything to add from South Melbourne's slender victory?
I just want to say, I know we've been waxing lyrical about how South have been able to do this during this hectic schedule, but, they played on Wednesday night against the Solomon Kings with a very similar 11 to what they had out on Saturday, bar really Max Mikula was one of the main outs and he was awesome against the Solomon Kings. But to be top of the league, while, balancing all these duties, it is quite remarkable. I know that, again, that wasn't the most convincing win. It's not a game I'm sure that South Melbourne fans be rushing to go back and watch the YouTube stream of and watch the replay, but
yeah, the DVD is not coming out anytime soon.
Yeah, it's a really important 3 points because now's when things get a bit dicey. Now is when things are going to get interesting. And we were talking about watching the squad lists when they played Altona. I'm going to be fascinated to see who's lining up on Friday because on Sunday, they're in Honiara. So...
Hello, Mata. Hello, Mata. Here I am at Honiara.
It's Saturday they're playing, Nick, I think.
Is it Saturday?
Yeah, so there's no chance. So my little birds tell me that they will be leaving a composite squad behind. So they'll be taking some of their first choice players with them to the OFC Pro League, and they'll be leaving a few in reserve to compete in the NPL.
Wow, okay.
Because they've got a 9-point buffer to Vanuatu United in 5th. This will mean nothing to anyone who hasn't watched the OFC Pro League, but me and Nick were on the broadcast. Why aren't you watching?
What are their games like in?
Pretty tough. I mean, they're playing Vanuatu, who's the 5th place team, and they want to finish in the top 4. Okay. So they've got that 9-point buffer. They're second.
And they play an away game essentially against Solomon Kings. They only play 2 games in this hub, and the Solomon Kings, despite the fact that they got hammered by South Melbourne the other night, as Josh, you can attest to, they're when they're on, they look really good, like as in competitive. They can really shake it with the best. I mean, they beat Auckland 3-1, but then those tight turnarounds, as Ben Khan lamented, really hurt them. So I am really fascinated about that game. I know we should be talking more about South Melbourne v Green Gully this weekend, but I'm fascinated about how South Melbourne go when they go to the Solomon Islands and have two games against two teams, Josh, that we know. Vanuatu, they don't leave a stone unturned when they play. They play at only one speed, and that's fast and that's physical. And the Solomon Kings at home will hopefully be a nice raucous atmosphere at the National Stadium there.
It's going to be, Nick. Let me tell you, Robbie Graham, who is the vice chairman of Solomon Kings, and he's also president of Wynnum Wolves, had NSL involvement and stuff as well. They've got some sort of partnership, and he and his sponsors at Wynnum are buying, I think, 1,500 to 2,000 tickets for that Solomon Kings South Melbourne game and giving them away free to local supporters so they can come watch the game for free. So there's going to be a big crowd at that one. It's going to be a super hostile atmosphere. So if you're going to watch one OFC Pro League game on FIFA Plus in the next hub, that's the one to watch.
Just on
it's all.
Okay, Lachie.
I feel like I'm doing a piece to camera again. This is the OFC Pro League.
I was going to say it's all well and good until they accidentally give it to the 15,000 people in the Solomon Islands who are Greeks, and they just walk in and it's oh my God, why do they all have trumpets?
Yeah, they're just bringing in Solomon Islands flags, but they've just cut the blue and white corner off it.
Just on Bentleigh again, though. Nick mentioned that no Mikola. Peter Andrews didn't play in that game either, so they had no long throw set piece routine that they use, which is a big out for them because when things aren't going well, they can rely on that as an avenue to goal. So they didn't have that. Tommy G played as a fullback. So if you're ever going to play South, they're tired. They've just played all these games. The game's at the home of the Matildas, not at Lakeside. No long throws, and you still could not even get a sniff in that game. That's where the concerns are.
Yeah, imagine an Esteban team lining up for that game with no Mikla and no Peter Andrews.
I
think he would have just said,
3-0 forfeit.
yeah, sorry, we can't field a team to go, guys. Shake hands with George Katsakis.
It is a good point, though. Why, do people who have a long throw in them just guard it like it's the secret herbs and spices, like it's the Big Mac sauce recipe? Surely that is something you can teach the technique to other people. Like that, I can imagine that would be a pretty, potentially lucrative market. You sling me a bit of money and I'll teach you how to throw it like Max Mikla sort of thing. If people get paid to be a bowling coach or something, why we have set piece coaches. Max Mikla could genuinely be a throw-in coach.
Is that Josh Dennett's music?
Short-term loan signing. Let's wrap it up there and head on to Melbourne City 1, Oakleigh Cannons 1. A brilliant early goal from the young City boys, top bins, would you, if you like, and it was Liston Diaz, who has been a very shrewd signing by Chris Taylor. I was expecting him to sort of start and come off the bench in fits and starts and manage his minutes. Not just CT's roll him out for 90. The boy can play. And he ran into I would say probably defensive error from Melbourne City and punished it pretty ruthlessly. What did we see in this one, fellas?
Do you want to jump in?
Sure. Well, you're not wrong about the softness of that goal, Josh. That defensive shape for City. If you freeze it before the ball is played over the top, it's not even a line of four. It's like
just pause it.
2
there.
It's like a 2 and a 2. It was really, really terrible shape. But Liston Diaz is. Would it be fair to say that he's having the season, or starting to have the season now, that we thought he might have last year, for example? Here's a guy who's been waiting for this, sitting on the bench at Avondale, waiting for this moment to be the breakout star, to be the guy of a team, and obviously he's not quite that in this Oakleigh team, but to just feel the benefits of a consistent starting run, Didn't get that at Port Melbourne. Part of that was due to injuries as well. Let's not forget. But he is getting that run. If I'm remembering correctly, he's Player of the Month as well in NPL Victoria.
Correct.
Like he is absolutely having so far the season I think we thought he'd have at Port Melbourne at Oakleigh. And again, the temptation, Chris Taylor, would maybe have been to keep him as a reserve player off the bench, which is not a great place for any star player, let alone one who's had the career experience that Liston Diaz has had to be. But he's given him the nod from the start, and he's taking the opportunity with both hands.
I'm going to break the no sharing rule again here.
I'm shocked.
Liston Diaz. It reminds me a bit of Joe Danaher that's a sore point for you, Lockman. But Joe Danaher when his body used to break down at the Bombers, and then he went to Brisbane, and they finally got him fit.
You can't see our hands in this framing, but when he said Joe Danaher, Nick reached across to me and nearly did the when Thierry Henry after Klopp got sacked. Who was there was a Klopp that got sacked?
What's Brendan Rodgers?
Yeah, when Brendan Rodgers got sacked and he put his hand on his hand on Jamie Carragher's leg.
Jeez, you give me the coughing fit there. But full credit to the Oakleigh S&C and also to, I guess, Liston as well for the work he's done to get his body right for this season, because last year we saw how dynamic he was going forward in the 10 games he played. He scored 8 goals. And we spoke about it earlier in the season that he almost single-handedly kept Port Melbourne in the hunt for survival in the games that he played, because he won a lot of games off his own boot. Won the points off his own boot that didn't come all too often for Port Melbourne last season. But now it looks like he's fit and firing. Touch wood. This is a season of no injuries for him. But it looks like he's fit and firing, and he's really relishing now getting this opportunity as a starter, not as an impact player, but seeing him flourish at a big club and being able to, put together the work week in, week out. The only disappointing thing I have just to want to add on this game is, guys.
3, 2, 1.
No Oakleigh
song.
Team song.
No song.
No Oakleigh team song. I was
thinking it as well.
Yep. I was waiting. I'm like, surely Oakleigh are going to get a late winner, so we can get the Casey Fields rendition. It would have been a big test again. I wonder if they would have had potentially. Did they bring the posters of the club lyrics again, or
I've got them on giant cue cards like they're on SNL.
Yes, but no, we're gonna have to wait another week to hear the Oakleigh club song. Well, maybe, but they got a big game against Heidelberg, so it could be another week after that. But
it'll be another week.
Yeah. Okay.
Just on Melbourne City, they had no Mazio Wong. Kuleshi as well. Kuleshi got 4 weeks for that challenge that he got sent off for against
4 weeks
Preston.
and 1 laptop.
Yeah, it was. Jeff Fleming had a new shiny laptop at Preston on Sunday, so they got.
I got the skinny from Fleming. They want City to pay for it, but he has not received a reply to his email yet.
That's
you reckon he's done the classic embellished what quality of laptop it was as well, like it was maybe like a Mac coming towards the end of its life cycle, but it's like no, it was a top of the range like M2 silicon chip.
It's like when the old wogs have a car accident. That scratch was already there.
Shout out to Melville Bodyworks, our sponsor.
But yeah, impressive performance by Melbourne City to have those scholarship players out, get a point against Oakleigh, who's been flying. So Melbourne City, our concerns are when the scholars aren't playing, how are they going to go? And they did it against one of the best teams in the league and got a point. So credit to them. Their system doesn't change. They're like cyborgs, Melbourne City. Really, it's just plug and play. Doesn't matter who comes in, who goes out. It's the system that gets them over the line, and it's working for them.
Who would have thought that a giant network of interconnected clubs would produce cyborg footballers?
When you are a newly promoted team, though, like I think it can't be understated what a good result this is, really, like in many respects. Like I know that Victory had their joys against Oakleigh last year. They had that big shock win at the back end of the season. It's a very different period of time, mind you. The classic late season Oakleigh Blues, that was. Like when you're a newly promoted side, you're looking for that legitimizing result, right? You're looking for that performance, that one sort of outcome that makes you think, yeah, we belong here. We belong in this league. I think Georgies have maybe had that result already, or had a couple of strings of results, and this did feel like a bit of a legitimizer for Melbourne City, a game where they'd come away from it and go, yeah, you know, we took a point away, a well-earned point away from a mainstay, a heavyweight of this competition. I think the young players will take real confidence out of not just that they did it, but the context in which they did it that Ivka has already mentioned.
And just lastly on this, shout out to Isaiah Boston, not just for his performance, but also for his great name. I mean, one of the great commentary names. And every time I hear it, I think of Isaiah Thomas playing point guard for the Boston Celtics. So Isaiah Boston, great.
I think Bill Simmons has found his favourite NPL.
All right, let's head on to VPL 1. And it was the battle of the coaching pump-ups of late. I mean, we saw Alan Mulcahy getting the Eltham Redbacks revved up at the web with Suited and Booted providing all sorts of coverage from inside the dressing room. But one Nick Marinos felt left out. He felt he needed to show his wares. So I just want to play these back to back and we'll get your verdict on which one makes you want to run through a brick wall.
We do not disrespect anybody. Remember those words. Off is what I say to that. Alright? Nobody, and I mean nobody, comes to this ground and disrespects you. The amount of hard work, blood, sweat, tears that has gone in to get us where we are right now. And they think that they come here and fucking bully us. That's on you, not me. Not him! Not him! That's on you! Do not, as a fucking man, let anybody come in and disrespect you tonight! Go out there tonight and fucking smash them! Like we fucking did last year! Are you fucking with me?
Understand this as footballers, and in everyday life you affect people's lives. You affect people's lives. All of us do. Okay? From the day you were born with a name. What's your name? Talakidis. Markovic, what do you represent? Halfpenny. Panakos, what do you represent? Hardy. Balfour Forest. You all fucking represent something. But the day you're born, you had no say in it. That's when it started. It was in your hands. So what the fuck does your name represent? When you play, how do people look at you? What does your name mean? You don't just represent yourself. You represent your family. And your family name. Do you understand how important that is? Because when they watch, they might not say, you don't understand how fucking proud they are of all of you. That's all they want. Make them proud. So today, when you walk out there, show them what your name represents and what you're all about, and more importantly, what this fucking club is all about. Let's go, come on!
So there you have it. The war of the pre-game pump-ups.
Looks like they're both auditioning for Al Pacino's role in Any Given Sunday, I reckon.
And meanwhile, we cross over to the fans of Caroline Springs George Cross in a few weeks' time.
Who is it, Willow? It's Mitch. Come on, Mitch! Right. Fucking Mitch! So he's not working hard? No. Fuck you, Will!
Get Mitch it off. Is that sorry? You're talking about auditioning for vacant roles. Is there an Ange Postecoglou biopic coming up? I'm not aware of, because those two speeches were an enjoy your lunch away from an open invitation to fill the role.
My favourite bit is when Marinos kind of inadvertently or maybe intentionally makes fun of Barfarosh's surname. What the fuck does that mean? Look, I'm going to give it to Mullers, and for one reason only. It's not because it was a more rousing speech, which I think it probably was.
I think so.
As the YouTube comment said, Colin Farrell went hard. I can't take credit for that one, but it was a good one. But the fact that Nick Marinos didn't have his guns out just didn't do it for me, I'm afraid.
That's 2 weeks in a row now. It's disappointing.
The sun's still out, Nick.
Yeah. Get the guns
Give
out.
the people what they want. But taking us through the VPL 1 results, Port Melbourne 2, Western United 3, Brunswick Juve 0, Melbourne Knights 1, Eltham Redbacks a 2-2 draw with Brunswick City, and Brunswick City probably the better side in that game.
Did you see Dennett's throw for one of the Alpha
Well,
goals?
can I just say on Josh Dennett, Muller's speech was so motivating to the Eltham Redbacks that most of the players are ready to run through a brick wall. Not Josh Dennett, who threw a ball through a brick wall.
Different games, we must stress. That was a prior week. But Northcote City 3, North Geelong 0. They look like the team to beat Max Clark's side.
Yeah, it's another team we got wrong, didn't we?
Well, to be fair, what I said was they had a high ceiling and a low floor, and it seems like they're hitting the ceiling at the moment. Manningham United 4, Langwarrin 0, carried by Nick Marinos's inspiring words. Melbourne Victory 2, FC Bulleen Lions 2.
Hold on. Josh, who scored the equaliser for Bulleen?
4 in 4, baby.
That's what the fences are hearing right across the country every time that Connor Bell is on the field. The bell is ringing. 4 in 4. What a player.
Yep, found his level, Connor Bell, hasn't he?
And with this last fixture, look, there's been a lot of fake news flying around. You could look at the table, you look at Dribble, you look at the live score apps. It might tell you that FC Melbourne Serbia won this game. But if you go to my source of truth, which is the North Sunshine Eagles Facebook page, it is in fact North Sunshine 3, FC Melbourne Serbia 2.
Leave him alone. He's a good kid, young Osman. I had a chat to him on Sunday. He was a bit embarrassed by that mistake. So mistakes happen.
Hey, that's one way to avoid some bad press.
that's
just pretend you won.
You know what I find, that we haven't spoken about yet, talking about VPL 1, is, we obviously Melbourne Knights, big winners, Ivka.
Yeah, some goal as well, jeez.
Yeah, Adam Oddle with an absolute stunner.
Another poor goalkeeping error by Nick Philly in that one.
This is how I know that...
It can't just be a good goal, can it, Ivka?
The Melbourne Knights players, or perhaps Luka Kolic, is a podcast listener. Because that team song, I don't know if you guys saw them singing the song after the game. That's how you sing a team song. They were up and about like I have never seen. And that's how you celebrate a regular season win every week. Well, that's the sort of spirit that we love.
There was a fair few ex-Brunswick Juve players in that team for the Knights on Friday night. Watched that game. Thought it was horrendous. It was a shithouse game. Both sides struggled in it, but Knights nonetheless took a screamer and took all 3 points. A great start to life for them in VPL 1. It's interesting. I was having a chat with a few people after the game about that one. Interested to see your thoughts on it. And say Knights get promoted, finish in the top 2, automatic promotion. Is that something you celebrate as a club like Melbourne Knights? For me, it's probably not. It's like Man United going down to the championship. Do you celebrate winning the championship? You probably wouldn't.
Did Juventus celebrate after Calciopoli and getting promoted back to Serie A?
Will Tottenham celebrate their promotion back into the Premier League?
That assumes they're getting promoted back into the Premier League, Lachie.
Yeah, true.
I mean, did Bentleigh Green celebrate getting promoted again?
Yeah, Bentleigh different case as well. For me, if Knights do it, which they probably should, really, they should get promoted out of this league. Job done, well done, back into the big time.
So you're saying they should shake hands and go home?
I wouldn't be going too crazy. It's for a club like Knights, that is not success getting promoted.
Melbourne Knights shouldn't celebrate promotion too much because at the end of the day, let's not forget that one day the sun will start to die and it will expand and engulf all the surrounding planets in the solar system and everything will be killed. So we'll all be dead one day. So why celebrate anything, Mark Ivkovic? Because
be happy that you've done the job, but I wouldn't be going too wild.
Well, but the thing is, most of these players were playing for Altona City 2 years ago, so they're fucking loving it.
No, it's an achievement, but I wouldn't put it down in your honour roll VPL 1 champions if they get to that point. That's the point I'm trying to make.
Well, but so few teams yo-yo straight back up. Very few teams have done it of late. Usually takes you a couple of years at least.
Yeah, it's not a major achievement.
Well, I think for that group of players it is. And for that manager, it is because he's never coached in the top 5 before.
Credit to Michael Calangiolo. He is doing a good job. The very organised team, and he's got him playing half decent football. It's hard in that league to play good football, so he's getting the job done.
Get promoted first, Ivka, and leave the celebration police for until they're lifting the trophy, please.
They should be getting promoted out of this league. When you look at the quality that's in this competition, they have to get promoted.
Does the mailman celebrate when he delivers the post?
Exactly. That's my point.
A point well made, but not one I agree with, I'm afraid. Northcote City, top of the pile, 4 wins from 4. Manningham United, Melbourne Knights, Western United and North Geelong, all on 9. So it's pretty tight at the top in the relegation zone. Port Melbourne on 0 points and Lachie Flannigan, Lang Warren.
They play each other this week as well, Port Melbourne, Lang Warren.
Not according to the social media posts I've been putting out for the club, Josh. 4 from 4 to start the season. They're going great, guys.
Just get Nick Haggerty to do the post-match team talks. It's all positive.
What do you mean? I'm not disappointed. That was great. Let's head on to our NPL Victoria predictions for the coming slate of fixtures. And we will begin with Green Gully versus South Melbourne, a potentially weakened South Melbourne on a Friday night in Keilor Downs. And I will go first to Mr. Lachie Flannigan.
I'm already last, and you're making me go first, so I can't cower behind someone else.
It means you don't have any results to think that you're copying. You don't have to make an original point for the sake of the podcast. You just tip the result you think is going to happen.
South Melbourne 1, Green Gully 0.
So Flannigan thinks the South Melbourne seconds are going to do the job. Nick?
Well, I've got to use my draws very wisely.
He literally has a gun to his head.
South Melbourne 1, Green Gully 1.
Nick takes one step closer to the grave.
This is like playing Hangman.
Ivka.
These South Melbourne games are impossible to tip, really. You don't know who's playing, so...
All I'm hearing is excuses from you.
I'm going to go, well, South Melbourne's given us no reason to tip against them even when they are playing OFC. So, and Green Gully hasn't given us a reason to bloody tip them, that's for sure. So South Melbourne 1, Green Gully 0.
Ivka, question. If South Melbourne play an under-23s team, or a lot of under-23s and Green Gully win, can Gully celebrate?
No.
When they win?
No, definitely not. No. No. No.
Shouldn't even post a full-time score.
No. Job done. See you later. Well, how about if they lose? What happens then?
If someone commits harakiri on the pitch.
Well, I just want to know who's going to be the number 9 for Green Gully this weekend. Which player wins the bingo this week?
It's going to be, I'm drawing straws here. I'm cycling through the names. Amanhom Karmas, you're up, buddy.
Orange E23, Orange E23. You are the winning striker raffle ticket.
I'm going to say...
Congratulations to Paul from Keilor Downs. You're leading the line.
I'm going to say Green Gully get their first win of the season. 2-1, baby. And they will celebrate in a restrained and respectful manner and return to their domiciles. Oakleigh Cannons versus Heidelberg United is a big one, a big tasty morsel on a Friday night. Ivkovic.
Jeez, that's...
What does your name mean? And what is your score prediction?
Jeez, that's a big one. Interesting to see if Ben Collins plays or not. Doesn't really make a difference because Theo did a great job replacing
There's only
him.
one man who's irreplaceable in that midfield.
Yeah, and if Lesiotis is playing, I can't see Heidelberg not winning the game. I reckon Heidelberg 2-1.
Nick.
Heidelberg 2, Oakleigh 2.
The lone gunman.
Heidelberg 2-1 Oakleigh.
I'm going to go. I actually think Oakleigh are going to win this game at home. I'm going to say 2-1 to the Cannons. Preston Lions versus George Cross. There's only one man's opinion I want to hear on this game.
Georges. George Cross 7-0. No, come on. It's not going to happen. Preston will bounce back in this one. I don't think it'll be too comfortable. Georges make a game out of it. Having said that, I still think the score will be 3-0. 2 80th minute goals for Preston to seal it.
Lachie.
2-0 Preston.
Nick.
Preston 2. Georgie's 1.
Oof.
Put the gun away.
I'm going to say Preston win 1-0. Let's go Hume City versus Dandenong Thunder. Shame.
Hume City.
No one remembers this as the Shame Derby.
Yeah, I do. I remember that game very well.
I literally referenced it in this podcast.
Okay, no one outside the 4 sickos doing a podcast.
I think this game will follow the trend of the last round, a boring 0-0 game.
Flannigan.
One.
I really hope you're watching the video for this segment, by the way. Otherwise, it's not going to make much sense to you. Debano.
It's Hume at home, yeah?
Yeah, 2 o'clock Saturday.
It is a 2 p.m. kickoff.
How many draws did I have to?
4.
Hume City 1. Dandenong Thunder 1.
Oh, Nick's about to have his head blown off. I'm going to say it's daytime, and therefore Dandenong Thunder are not going to enjoy this game. It's going to be Hume to win 2-0.
They haven't bloody enjoyed the nighttime either this season.
No,
so.
true. But, I feel like they're more at home in their natural
Nothing to
habitat.
smile about in my life.
Are Hume allowed to celebrate if they beat a relegation-threatened team?
Yes. They
Okay,
can
thank you.
celebrate this
Important to clarify. Avondale versus Dandenong City, Lachie.
Oh, that's a weird one.
A semi-final rematch?
Yeah, I reckon Dandenong City bounce back 3-2.
Debano.
This is literally life or death here. Every game is from now on. But I'll be saying no to death today. Dandy City 2, Avondale 1.
Vala Morgulis. Ivkovic.
Well, when I did the Heidelberg Dandy City tips, I said something tells me Dandenong City would get something out of that game, and I didn't have the balls to back it up. So I think Dandy City will get something out of this game because, they beat them the last time they played there in a high-stakes game, and they got a point when they played in the league from memory. I commentated that game. I should remember.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, they did, didn't they? So I think Dandy City will win this one 2-0.
I think this one screams 1-1 draw at a deafening volume. Melbourne City versus St Albans Dinamo. Nick.
I might have to squeeze it in before you realise. And he doesn't have
You can see how seriously we take the tips on this podcast. If you're skipping straight to the tips section, let me tell you, it is the section of the podcast we put the least amount of thought into.
Melbourne City 1, St Albans 2. Melbourne City coming back from Thailand this week in the AFC Champions League and playing in the league. So I think that Dinamo might get them.
Lachie.
2-1 Melbourne City.
Ivkovic.
Well, they were in bloody Thailand and they got a point against Oakleigh. So Melbourne City 3, St Albans 1.
Melbourne City 4, St Albans 0. Altona Magic versus Bentleigh Greens.
Yeah. Took the words out of my
It'll
mouth.
probably be a barn burner now that I've made the old honk shoe into the microphone. Lachie?
That feels like the most nailed on 0-0 of all time. It might be the most nillest nil that ever nilled.
So hold on. Hold on.
You backed yourself into a corner here, Nick.
Is this a loophole?
Hey, I'm not the hostage here.
I am the captain now.
Yeah, I make the rules. I'm the one who knocks, Nick.
Jeez. I'm going to say Altona 0, Bentleigh Greens 1.
Ooh.
Own goal for Bentleigh. Let's see. Altona Magic 4, Bentleigh 4.
I have to go with Lachie. This is the nillest nil that has ever nilled a nil. And having tipped that, it'll almost certainly be a great game. All right, that brings to an end the NPL Victoria podcast for another week. Nick Debano and Lachie Flannigan go out in search of food after 8:30 p.m. in Sydney.
I don't know if anything will even be open in Sydney.
We bid you the best of luck.
The prison meal will be nice and tasty.
Are the lockout laws in effect now? Are you allowed to have anything? All right, well, we'll see if you can make your make ends meet out there. And Mark Ivkovic, thank you for your company. I've been Josh Parrish, and this has been the NPL Victoria podcast. And may all of your locker room speeches be as inspiring as the ones we've heard in the last week or so. Good night.
Get him off!